Hi guys, it's Claire Mataira. I'm talking to you from the Amazon region in Peru, near Iquitos. And this morning when I woke up, I was given a little message to do a reading from something that I had already written a few years ago. And it's a true life experience that I had. And I put it in this book, which is not finished. I call it Ghost Stories, Case Histories of an Ayahuasca Therapist. So this was one of the stories that happened with me, with a client in therapy. I read the introduction as well because it's part of the story. And also it has an answer on something that we can do for the Earth Mother, Pachamama, that we call Pachamama in South America. So here we go. Dear reader, people seem to think that what we see is real and what we don't see does not exist. Science has proven this to be untrue, and many things that our senses don't perceive still have an effect on the world around us, and on ourselves also. Infrared, ultraviolet, gamma rays, microwaves, radio waves, and dog whistles are just a few examples. With the appropriate tools, these frequencies can be detected and used to our advantage or disadvantage. But when it comes to talk about spirits of the departed, everyone seems to feel a shiver going down their spine, and they look at me as if I'm some suspect practitioner who tries to tell them some make-believe nonsense. Yet these spirits can make people ill or cause troubles that no pills can cure. I found that I had some ability to perceive these other realities and managed to bring healing to people who came to me by talking with the spirits that I sensed were causing their problems. I found that death does not necessarily make people rest in peace, and some continued their unhappy state well after death. By counseling them, these spirits were able to move on and allow their relatives or other targets to go on with their life in peace. The stories that I'm going to tell you are from my actual experience and practice, and are intended to make you open up your mind to other possibilities that exist outside of our daily perception. Some of them I have been telling so many times that it seemed more suitable to write them down. Obviously, it was a subject that people found interesting. A warning, however, it is not for the faint-hearted, as some stories have powerful emotional content and may trigger unconscious memories. If this happens to you, dear reader, I advise you to write your feelings and experiences down, and if this does not settle your issue, I recommend you visit a parapsychologist. With that caution, I'm going to plunge into a very vast and complex issue that undoubtedly will need many updates and revisions and which will never be complete. But better to start somewhere than remain silent. Right, I'm going to the second story, which I was told to read to you today. And it's called The Pinetree and the Oath. These are people from France, and they came to my place. It was a couple, and they came to my place for some healing and some future inspiration and stuff like that. So here I start. The Pinetree and the Oath. It must have been around the end of 2010 when a couple came to me for ayahuasca sessions. They had been recently engaged and were interested in knowing more about their future together. Both in their early 30s and from 2 different countries in Europe. Professional people who knew a lot about being in touch with the earth and doing spiritual work. I often do a little reading of their energies before we drink the sacred brew, so as to have more clarity and connection with their needs. And usually we also take some cards to help view the conscious and subconscious issues at hand. I think that at that time I just held their hands briefly before the session. When I touched the hands of the man, I got some clear images. I see a very large pine tree at the back of your house. Is that true? I asked him. He replied in the affirmative. This tree is like a friend to you, and because of this tree you were guided to buy the house, I said. He smiled. Maybe he had felt that, but this was a new angle for him consciously. The woman had a past life history of being a monk in Tibet and had achieved a high status with her meditations in that life. This was something that helped her to keep her life in balance this time, as she had a very deeply passionate and loving nature. Ayahuasca directed me straight back to the area of the tree as soon as the trance came on. Something felt bad. I searched in my vision into the area and the earth, and found that some swords had been buried there. The earth is feeling pain for the swords in the ground here, I said. And this is something very important, I feel. The earth just really doesn't want us to fight with each other. I looked some more, and there is a knight buried there also, a fighter for pride and honor, a professional fighter. I had not considered before that these kind of things actually give the earth pain. But then, what mother would not feel pain if her children were killing each other? More so if it was just for pride and honor. I looked back in time. This happened about the year 1300 AD, and this practice was not uncommon for settling disputes. I told the man, called Jack, which is not his real name. Jack, I think this fighter was your father in that life, and in this life he has come back as your son, Nemo. Jack sat up. You know, it's so strange, but I always feel that my small son is my father, and I could not work out why I would feel that way. This makes sense, and yes, Nemo loves fighting games. The earth wishes that Nemo puts his little hand on the ground and that he says 3 times with passion, never again, so that he will heal the pain of the Earth Mother. Jack nodded. It made sense in his state of trance. Because, I went on, there were more people hurt than just the Earth Mother. You were a small boy when he died, and you adored your father, and your life and heart were destroyed with his death. And your father had a younger brother who also adored him, and this uncle of yours was like your playmate and guide from that time on, since he was about 10 years older than you. So the boy was about 3, I think. 3 or 4, yeah, and the brother was 10 years older, so he was about 13. And where is he now? Hang on. Oh yeah, the brother. We're talking about the brother of the man who died, who was the father of my query, my person who came to me. I said, and where is he now? Jack asked me. I said, he's not in the body yet, but he may wish to be your son, your next son. He is watching you often and is helping us tonight to remember this story. We relaxed and I sang for a while to let the ayahuasca activate fully. Then I got the next vision. I saw Jack in this other life as a small child going back to the grave often and feeling the pain. Then, when he was several years older, he wished to let go of these memories, and together with his uncle, he planted a small pine tree over the grave. Pine tree, I wish you to remind my father that I will never forget him, and I will never stop loving him. You will be the guardian of this message, lest we forget. And with that the boy moved into the next phase of his life with his young uncle looking after him in the place of his father. In this present life, Jack had been drawn to this tree again and had bought this property. The tree was now nearly 700 years old and still holding the message and telling us about it via the ayahuasca vine, which is a great communicator of people, relationships, events, and also of plants and their consciousness. It was strongly suggested that Nemo make a storybook about the tree as a school project with drawings and present it to his class, but this may have been too way out to actually execute in present-day life. I also suggested that Jack make a medicine hut or house near that tree, as he could draw on strong forces of love and connection with the earth at that place and tap into his past lives to help him with his future work. As far as the relationship with his partner, there was a suggestion that he took good care of his sexual energies and practiced constraint, since that was most helpful for his future life with her. This seemed a bit strange to me, since they were very much in love, but it was made clear about a year later when he wrote to me and said he had lost her because he had not resisted having an affair with his ex-wife. Ayahuasca had warned him. Jack still is unfolding in his work for the earth and seems to have made good strides in taking up a place as a communicator of environmental issues. Nothing is ever really lost. A few years ago, he sent me a lovely photo of his son smiling happily with the big tree behind him, and in the tree were lots of rainbows. A magical story and one of my favorites. By the way, this is a post thing. We were given the name Nicholas for the uncle who wanted to incarnate as a brother for Nemo. And when Jack split up with his partner, there was a time of doubt how the story would complete itself. How would Nicholas incarnate as a little brother for Nemo? But a while after, Jack sent me a message that he was now with a new partner and she already had given birth to the child, who was indeed called Nicholas, and who now came into the family as a well-received stepchild. It seems that the spirit world has a way of sorting things out so that we can complete our destinies in this life. Blessings. So I'm going to show you the photo because it's very nice. Okay, this is the photo of the child with the tree. Very old tree, 700 years old. And I've found with ayahuasca that many times we have the very large trees, which I would call the grandfather trees or the grandmother trees. They hold a lot of memory for the earth, and many of them are now being cut down, so maybe that means maybe it has to be like that because of the new age that's coming. Here is another little photo of Jack with his tree. He's down a bit because the tree is very large. Yeah, there we are. So, right, so a lot of emotion had gone into it for him, and he managed to really get a lot out of this. So it was a beautiful story, and I like it very much. All right, well, that's a short one for today, and God bless. And if you like it, leave me a like and subscribe, or leave me a message. I will get back to you. Okay, God bless. Bye-bye.